Our focus on America's independent businesses begins right now. Before we bring in tonight's owners, I want to introduce Stanford University Professor David Dodson, who will be with us to help give some advice to tonight's business owners. Professor Dodson, it's good to have you back here. You're in the state of California, which has seen rising cases. You advise, I think, 32 businesses, many of them in that state. What are you hearing?
Well, there's a lot of fear right now because there was optimism, of course, about 2 or 3 weeks ago that things were opening up. But the data has been miserable about the increase in COVID cases. And everybody's debating, is it because there's more testing, or is it because we have a second wave, or we never got off the first wave? And it is petrifying business owners because unlike a few months ago when Congress showed a willingness to try to build a bridge to get to the other side, basically what they're hearing is no more bridges. So people are worried.
Are they seeing a drop-off in demand yet, given the rising case numbers?
Not so much that. It's just that they're not seeing the increase in demand that they were hoping for. So restaurants were thinking, okay, being open 50% capacity ain't great, but it's sure better than being shut down. And now they're opening up and they're saying, I don't know if I'm going to be open at 50% capacity. These are the kinds of things that they're trying to grapple with. And then, of course, we don't know whether there's going to be sporting events, and that means that no one's going to buy hot dogs and beer. And so people are all wondering, not only is the economy going to come back, but what is the slope of that curve? And the slope of the curve they thought was going to be like this. It's looking more like this.
Let's talk to one of those business owners, our first one of the night. From a beach read to a literary masterpiece, if you've looked for something to read in South Florida, chances are you paid a visit to Books and Books. Mitchell Kaplan is the owner, and he joins us tonight. Mitchell, I know you have a number of stores across Florida. What have you seen from your customers as we have seen these case numbers rise in your state?
Well, first, Sarah and David, I want to thank you for inviting me on tonight. It's a bit scary out there. We have seen a rise over the last couple of days. I think today in Florida, there was a rise. We've had about 9,000 cases. Our customers are a little bit nervous. People who are who come to independent bookstores tend to be a little bit older, so they need to be really a little bit more careful in their decisions as to what stores to go into. And in two of our stores, we have restaurants as well, which also adds a bigger challenge. I'm hopeful, though, that I think down the road, people still do want to congregate. And that is what we do as a community-based independent store. We're all about bringing the community together. And so when we get to the other end of this, that's going to be the whole trick, is to how we get to the other end of this. But once we do, I think our customers will be coming back.
Mitchell, it's amazing that you've survived. So many small independent booksellers across America have been hit even before this pandemic, obviously battling the online sellers like Amazon. How much worse is the outlook right now, given the shutdown?
Well, I've been a bookseller for 40 years. We've been in business for 40 years. So we've been through it a lot over the last 40 years. Never anything this bad or this frightening. But what it's made us do, independent booksellers are an extremely creative bunch. And what all of us have had to do is kind of reimagine who we are. And we have, Books and Books overnight has had to become a virtual store. Our online store never shut down. We do 400 events a year with all kinds of authors. We're now doing virtual events, which have been much appreciated by our community, and results have come from that. So, what I'm doing during this period as a business owner, I'm sorry.
Mitchell, I was thinking about exactly that point. In business school, one of the things that we teach in strategy classes is this notion of a V curve, which is you either want to be really large or you want to be really small, but you don't want to be in the middle, which in your business was kind of Barnes and Noble. And I've been thinking about the competitive threat that you have and the weapons that you have. And you were just talking about it earlier about how you convene people together. And you have these 300 or 400 events that you hold every year with authors and speakers. And I'm thinking about that in terms of content. And if you think about that, you are a content provider. You also sell books, but you have this content. Think about all the organizations out there that are dying for content. Churches, synagogues, clubs, Ducks Unlimited. They've got members and they want to be able to shove some information, some content, some speakers down there. So to the extent that you can build some bridges with these organizations, I would think that would be a way to take your Facebook page of 40,000 users and turn it into 140,000 users.
David, that's beautifully said. That's exactly what our mission is. We are constantly partnering with law firms, with churches, with synagogues. That's exactly what we're doing. One of the things that we do, and we've done it for many, many years, is partner with the largest community college in the country, where we put on this gigantic book fair called the Miami Book Fair, where we have 600 authors come. So you're exactly right. We use.
Well, Mitchell, the other thing about this V curve.
Competencies are.
Yeah. The other thing about this V curve is that people tend to think that software is for the big guys. And I want to say that software is the most democratizing technology out there. 20 years ago, you couldn't do what Amazon can do. Now you can do that. And you're an extraordinary threat to Amazon because you now can sell books online and you can do the things that we were just talking about with the organizations. That is a scary thing for Amazon and something they didn't have to face 10, 15 years ago. So I would advise you to step on the gas on the online sales because I think you can be a formidable force against Amazon.
Well, I think you've just given us a brand new moniker that we can use on our bookmarks. Books and Books, an incredible threat to Amazon. That's what I think we want to do from now on.
Good to hear. I had one other thought for you.
But David, what you're saying is absolutely. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Dave.
So, Sarah, what I was going to ask Mitchell about was how the PPP loan worked for you or didn't. And I understand that you used the PPP loan to bring employees back to have them stay at home and do nothing. That sounds like you were the unemployment agency for Florida, not that the loan was used to help you get restarted again.
Well, that was what happened. You know, the PPP loan, we got it in the very first round. And unfortunately, we were closed down, which was the case with most small businesses around the country at that time. So for the very first part of the use of the PPP loan, we were basically taking the place of the Florida Unemployment Office, which unfortunately is not a very good one. So I was very happy to be able to do this for my employees to give them the help they needed to get through this very difficult time. I did keep a number of employees who came in because our online store was very vibrant. The community came out in droves to support us online. And you're right, they transferred their online business from Amazon to us and to a lot of other indie bookstores as well.
Yeah. Good for you.
That's great to hear.
And
Mitchell Kaplan,
to go for that,
the best of luck. We appreciate it tonight from Books and Books in Florida. You too. There's a lot more ahead tonight. Well, weddings around the world and around the country have been canceled as the economy has had to shut down. When things were seemingly about to pick up, Texas announced a pause in the reopening. That's where Wedding Stationery, So Crafty Studio, is located. And owner Maria Ferrer is worried about the future of her business. She's with us tonight. Maria, thank you for joining us tonight. Has business picked up at all in any way?
Hi, well, thank you so much for having me. Well, yes, a little bit, but right now, considering the current Texas situation, well, I am pretty scared of the near future because basically a month ago, things were starting to look even a little better.
How are people thinking about weddings right now? Are they planning their weddings?
Yes, they actually began planning their weddings again, probably for fall and even for the end of the year. And everything looks great. But right now, at this moment, it's very uncertain.
Is there anything else you can do with the calligraphy and the skills that you use for these invitations as a side business while weddings are on hold?
Yes, I try to create new products to introduce them through my Etsy shop in order to keep the shop active. And but in general, the business was very still. I think people were focusing on different things to invest on, or probably they were saving more money and not, buying things like art or gifts at this moment. But yes, I try to introduce a couple of different things to not be on hold all this time.
Maria, thinking of what you and Sarah were talking about, there's this concept that we think about a lot when we're evaluating businesses, which is selling new things to new people, selling the same things to the same people. Basically, you think about you've got new products and the same products, new customers and different products. And it seems to me that you've got an interesting opportunity because really your core competency is not a wedding invitation. Your core competency is you make beautiful things on paper. And whether it's birth announcements or it's corporate cards or it's high-end thank you notes, your core competence is making paper beautiful with words. And I would think that there's a whole market out there that is looking for what you have to offer. So my advice would be, while you're waiting for the wedding business to come up, start thinking about all of those new places that you could be doing business.
Yes, and thank you for that, because I think that's very accurate. There are many opportunities for me, not only on the wedding industry, but in other areas. I've seen a little been struggling. I've seen myself struggling with some vendors. For example, if I have to access to specific kinds of papers, it's a really hard time to get them. But yes, there's a good time to explore new opportunities, like digital design, for example. It's another service that I included lately, because many people were actually sending their postponements just online to save some money and then see later what to do with their actual date.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking about what it must have been like for you in February, March, when you're getting those phone calls of people saying they're canceling their wedding. So, and then I thought, well, some of these people must have wanted their deposits back. So you not only had to have your business reduced, but you probably were sending money back to customers. What was that like for you and your family?
It was hard. It was a hard decision to take, but I had to think about not only my business, but my client's position, because I didn't know, for example, if they were going to lose their jobs in the middle of this situation. So I decided to friendly refund the deposits and offer easy ways for them to come back to me when they were ready. But it was really hard to see all the work go and go in just a week. It was really, really hard.
Maria, we hope it picks back up soon. Thank you for joining us to talk about it tonight.
Thank you.
Maria Ferrer from So Crafty Studio in Texas. Let's bring in our next business tonight. Jenny Tang, also known as Jenny the Potter, owns The Workshop, a pottery studio and school in Minneapolis. Jenny, thank you for joining us tonight. Sounds like you make some of your money from your own pottery and others from the classes. What's business like for you right now?
Well, it's been a challenge, to say the least. So currently, we've got 5 students that are actively coming to take classes, whereas before, when we closed, we had 75.
Are you able to have these students take classes outside? How do you do it in a safe way?
Well, when we closed down, we took the opportunity to sort of reevaluate how we used the space. I'm fortunate that I have 1,100 square feet to work in. And so I took, before this, I had 12 wheels. I reduced that quantity down to 6. I started renting out the equipment that I had. And then I took those 6 wheels and I expanded them. So all of the statistics said that we needed to be 6 feet apart. And I took the opportunity to make it 10 or 20 feet, depending on where you are in the studio, and then limit people's space to specific times, and changing from a just drop in whenever you want to making appointments so that everybody has to schedule just like you would a haircut or any other service.
I like this idea of a take a home kit. How does that work? And is that a driver for you right now, getting new business?
Yeah, it's been interesting. So when our state shut down, the governor was on air constantly talking about how important it was for Minnesotans to get out and do their part by getting takeout from restaurants. And I remember sitting in my studio saying, I make pottery. This is clay. How do you make that a takeout? And then we decided to take a model that we had pre-existing, which was to do classes and parties, and make that a takeaway service. And so we did curbside delivery, and we had people stop by. Girl Scout troops come where they were picking up multiple parties. People had social distance birthday parties. We gave them kits with which that they could take home and they can work, and then we give them the support for those kits. And then what happens is they turn around and bring them back to us. So those customers have an initial experience, and then they have a return experience when they have to bring the kits back to us or we pick them up, and then they have pottery at the end of it.
You know, Jenny, isn't that really the strength and the inspiration of small businesses, that you're able to make those kind of moves quickly, given the situation that you have? And of course, no one was thinking about your business. They were thinking about travel agencies and hotels and restaurants, but not your business. But you made these moves. And it's amazing what small business can do. But I was thinking, when someone probably comes to your facility they're probably not coming there to become an expert at pottery, although they want to be really good at it. They're probably coming for an experience. They want to get their mind off something. They want to use their hands. They want to meet new people. And there's this concept called share of wallet. And if you think about your business as not necessarily providing pottery skills and pottery expertise, but giving people this life experience, then there might be all these other kinds of life experiences that you could also offer to those people who have said they want to buy it. So instead of them giving you $30 of their share of wallet for these life experiences, maybe it's $60 or $100 because they're coming to you for watercolors, or they're coming to you for glassworks. And I'm wondering, given that you have these people that want these life experiences, what else can you offer them?
That's a great question. You know, I've always said that ceramics is my wheelhouse. It's the place that I'm most confident. It's the media that resonates with me the most. But I try to surround myself with employees that have skills in other areas. And so I think that would be a great opportunity to sort of tap into maybe some things that they're interested in, and having those as additional services as well.
Yeah, and for your employees, you know, you might even consider, since you've got something that's working and that your community loves, whether you open up another one or you franchise it to a different neighborhood that those people aren't going to come to you. What an opportunity for your employees too, because instead of them teaching one class on Wednesday, maybe they get to teach 3 classes on Wednesday. So you're providing more employment for your workers, as well as taking this concept that's working so well and bringing it to other communities in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area.
Yeah, I see my main role is to provide space for community building. That's what we do. People come in here to learn clay. That's the skill that I have. That's the skill share that I can provide for them. But it's really about an exchange of ideas between people, and doing things with our hands so that we can creatively express ourselves. And then we do the work of community building, and we meet our neighbors and we talk about what's going on in life. And we have plenty of things to talk about these days.
Yeah. Jenny Tang, Jenny the Potter, thank you for joining us tonight. We wish you lots of luck as you bring the business back. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to all of our business owners tonight. Thank you. Professor Dodson, I know you had some new statistics on sole proprietorships to sort of wrap up our final thoughts here.
You know, I was thinking about Maria's situation, and she's a sole proprietorship. And so I had to look it up. It turns out that 77% of businesses in America are sole proprietorships, just like hers, representing $328 billion in the U.S. economy. And you know what? We let these people down because there was no support for sole proprietorships in the PPP program or the other programs. And so my heart goes out to people like Maria and the other 77% of American businesses who were kind of left behind over the last 200 days.
Dave Dodson, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Great to get your thoughts from Stanford.